I want to get a feel for the practicalities of AI readiness check. So I think the fraud detection use case is interesting. Practically, you come into my organization or your team comes into my organization. How will you understand the scope of that use case? How will you understand whether we are ready for data or not, or we need these things done? How will you know whether the people have a conception, the correct conception about the nature of the problem that they're facing? That is people in my company, as an example.
Well, like I said, that the framework comes with a host of, you can say, evaluation questions regards to the different capabilities. So it's a matter of now sitting down with the right audience, the right stakeholders, asking them the right questions in order to extract the information regarding, let's say, what the pain points are. What are the pain points related to maybe the process? Maybe there's a lack of process controls. What are the pain points related to data? It could be that data is in silos. So if you're a telco, you have network data that's separate to the billing data, the separate to customer data, and to bring all of this data together, it is cumbersome and it is quite difficult sometimes. Also, I then ask questions related to, let's say, governance mechanisms, related to if there's our third parties involved. So it's to really interview different stakeholders across the process end to end, gather their inputs, understand what the pain points are. Once the pain points are put on, like, let's say, a pain point tree, is then maybe use some volumetric analysis. Which one is the biggest pain point?
Yeah.
And then to probably construct a causal tree where you have the primary cause, secondary cause, and then you have your pain points all mapped out, which then tells you a much larger story. Because when you interview people, they are giving you issues or challenges from their own perspective, from their own lens, from their own prism of thinking. But when you begin to now construct this whole picture of, let's say, pain points to do with fraud detection, you can then see, well, there are some IT pain points, there's finance pain points, there's probably pain points to do with escalation. There is a mechanism in place that it gets escalated, but no one is actually taking action. So there's different pain points. So then you can sort of construct this picture, create a narrative, and then play it back with senior management. So that senior management, they don't see individual pain points. They see a complete narrative and perhaps a primary cause that sort of addresses why this is happening in the first place. It could be that the partners were signed up. So if you are a telco and you're putting in the CPE, usually you outsource that to a third party, and the third party, depending upon the incentive policy, they can have various mechanisms to actually bypass it and show, let's say, revenues where they're not revenues because there's a revenue leakage the way the CPE is being used, configured, and resold.
While you were speaking, one thought came to my mind, which is when you're deconstructing into pain points, you're actually solving how human beings behave in a complicated environment. And I think there's a lot of value in this, because in the absence of this, you'd end up just looking what process is functioning, what process is not functioning, as opposed to how integrated processes deliver a result. So it's actually very, very interesting in the way you've spoken about the pain points. How does this translate into a report that you would give to me as a member of the C-suite to say, this is what you get from the AI readiness?
Well, pain points, fundamentally, they allude to gaps, right? Within the process, within the technology, within the people in terms of training, skills, and so forth. And the collection of those gaps, you can then come up with areas of focus that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
And those areas of focus then can be then translated into a set of initiatives that make a part of a recommendation with pros and cons.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the approach or the philosophy to use.